One. Welcome to Seize Your Mind, the podcast about soccer, mental toughness, and life. I'm your host, Brandon Stone. Today's guest, Quincy Amarikwa. Quincy, how are you?
I'm doing well, man. Thanks for having me.
Quincy, if for y'all who don't know, has been an MLS player for 11 years. He started off in 2009 with the San Jose Earthquakes. He's been won the MLS Cup with the Colorado Rapids in 2010. He went to Canada with Toronto FC, Chicago Fire, back to San Jose, back to Canada to Montreal, and DC United. He also, 2017, was the MLS Comeback Player of the Year, and he also co-owns a brand called Perfect Soccer.
Yes, sir.
So tell me about how you've gotten to where you are now. Let's get some of your history. How did you fall in love with the game? And let's go from there.
Okay, yeah. So I started playing the game, I'd say like officially playing at 3 years old. My dad's Nigerian, immigrated here from Owerri, Nigeria. So I always say, soccer's the most popular sport in the world everywhere other than America, right? So that was my introduction to it, and it was a way for my father and myself to, bond and create a connection from a young age. And that went from just playing locally, we call it Nigerian League at the local park or local college. Every Saturday we'll meet up, and it's just open and free to anybody and everybody who shows up. And that's where I started kind of like the whole career. And then that went into, AYSO, then club, then high school, then college, then eventually pro. So that's kind of the quick version of how I got introduced to the sport and the path that it's led me on.
Did you have siblings growing up?
Yeah, so there's four of us, so I have three sisters. I'm the eldest of four. So talking about seize your mind and having a strong mindset and mentality, you must have one to survive a house of females and being the eldest and only boy. So that definitely was I'd say off the field training that helped me in my on the field pursuits.
Gotcha. Yeah, that must have been interesting. Did your dad play professionally?
Oh no, my dad plays just recreationally for fun. He's an engineer, electrical engineer by trade, and I'd say the athletic one in the family was my mother. So if I got my athleticism from anyone, it was definitely my mother, not my father.
Did your mom play soccer? All right,
Back?
She did basketball and track.
I said, yeah, my mom did basketball and track, and then what did I say? I said my mom did basketball and track, and my dad just plays soccer like for fun, just recreate for fun, like recreationally. Yeah.
So you got your speed from your mama?
Oh yeah, for sure.
Nice.
Speed and coordination from my mother.
Cool. Did you always want to be a pro growing up?
No, not at all. And I think that usually, because of that caused a lot of problems for me at the professional level, because when people would ask me that, I'd answer the same way. No, not at all. And I think it's considered blasphemous and disrespectful to a lot of guys, but it's just my truth. And, talking about mental strength and mentality, a thing I speak to a lot is the 3 S's of self-awareness in terms of building the mentality that I have, because I do a lot of mental strength coaching and training. And because of that, it created a lot of opportunities for me to figure out how to overcome. And it was making me think back to what my process was. I just really enjoyed and loved playing the game of soccer. I approached it as my focus was, when I step off the field, I will not regret having been able to give more effort or more focus to the game, because this could be the last moment, the last minute, the last kick, the last play. So every single moment and second on the field could be my last. And I played with that understanding. And because that was my focus and how I played the game for so long, eventually professional became an option for me. But I was never looking at the game as something to pursue at the professional level. And
where did that mindset come from? Like
I'd say it was a culmination of a lot of things. One being the firstborn of an Igbo man, an immigrant, right? It was in many ways, the household was little Nigeria in terms of like how it was approached, right? That was my dad's first like experience in America. My mother was born and raised in Superior, Montana, so she also come from a very small town, and her father was born and raised on an Indian reservation. So it was a very and my grandmother was German, so they had immigrated over here as well too. So the mentality and mindset is very much of a, figure it out, don't make excuses, pull yourself up, by your bootstraps type of mentality. And I think that coupled with the experiences I had at a young age, one going back home to Nigeria and seeing where my dad literally came from, seeing where my cousins were still at and what opportunities they did not have access to just simply because of where they were born in the world compared to me here in the States. When I got back, I think this was at 9 years old, about 9, was my first trip there. I was in my room and I came to the realization and understanding that I'm extremely blessed and lucky to be in America. And just for that alone, I could never look my dad in the eyes and tell him something would be too difficult or I couldn't figure it out, because I know I'd be lying to him. So I made the decision that I won't make a career.
Bad signal right there. Okay, you're back on now. Sorry.
Am I back?
So you said you could never look your dad in the eyes and, say you basically.
I can't. Yeah, that I couldn't figure something out, because saying that to him, that would be a lie. Seeing where he came from, seeing where my mom came from, and seeing where I'm starting, and to say that I could now would be a lie. And then I'd say, that's where it kind of started. And then at 12, I had broke my femur, which essentially ended my career, right? My soccer career. And I think that further solidified to me that there is no guarantee of tomorrow, let alone no guarantee of 5 minutes from now, 10 minutes from now. So I'm either going to be 20 years old, 30, 40, or I'll be dead, right? It's like I'm going to make it to that time or I'm going to be dead.
Right.
So when I get there, I do not want to look at myself in the mirror and regret could have done more or tried harder or put more focus, time, or energy into it. I can be okay with not being good enough or not knowing enough or not being fast enough or strong enough or smart enough or capable enough or whatever. I can be okay with that, but I will not be okay with, nor will I accept not giving full effort to whatever it is that I'm pursuing. And effort doesn't just mean running like a total idiot on the field into the goalpost, but it does mean if that is necessary to give ourselves the best chance to win today, that is what I'm doing. And if focus and energy means completely nullifying the defensive midfielder and not letting him play his game, which will disrupt the other team, so we have opportunities to score and win, and I don't get on the score sheet and nobody even recognizes me on the field and everybody thinks I'm the worst player, but it gave our team the best opportunity to win, then that's my focus as well too. So that hopefully gives a bit of a context as to my mentality, probably like where it started, how it developed, and then from there it's just been the aggregate of my experiences over time and the conversations and insights I've learned from the hundreds of teammates I've had over the course of my career.
Now, many people get to have that gift to go see a third world country and realize what people in America have, and you know, and it's not their fault. Like they just don't know any better. But paint a little bit better of a picture of what it was like there for some of the people listening who like don't realize how good we have it here.
Oh, I think most people don't, people can't really grasp the concept of not having access to clean water and spending half of your day alone walking 6 miles to go get it, and then back, 6 miles, 10 miles, 15 miles to get it and bring it back, right? Like that alone is a precious resource that many people around the world only focus and main means of like operating a day is just seeking that out and finding that. And that's something that we pee into and flush away, Yeah. And yeah, and like people don't take the time to even think about that because this is so normal. Like, and it's a good thing that this is normal, but it's not a good thing that it's not a good thing when we don't understand the need for empathy and experiences beyond what we know. And I guess my experiences and the things that I've gone through personally, and the things I've seen many teammates, family members and stuff go through personally, is a reminder to me to use my platform as a vehicle to share that reminder with others. So hopefully that those who might not have access to having those experiences can know that those experiences exist. The decisions that they make are impactful. They influence the people around them, and not everybody's experience is the same as yours, for better or for worse. And I think it's important that we recognize that at the end of the day, we're all human, and there's ups and downs with it. And there are people, I don't think everybody hears it. There's someone who would die to be in the position that you have right now. And that might be just being in America, access to clean water,
Right.
not being a professional athlete who's been playing at this level for 10 plus years, right? So looking at it from a bottom up perspective, not a top down. What do I have access to, and what resources are available to me, not what don't I have access to and everyone else has more and it's their fault and it's not fair. So
It's choosing to see, basically choosing what to focus on.
Yeah, choosing, and that's really important. Most people think they have no power or no control, but you have power and control over what you choose to focus on. I'm not saying that the experience won't be difficult. I'm not saying that things won't be hard. I'm not saying that there isn't systemic discrimination or issues or problems, right? I'm not saying that. What I'm saying is, if that's where you are and that's your experience, you still get to choose what you focus on and what you invest your time in.
Yeah.
And yeah, that's a message that I believe is true for every human, and one that we can all forget at times because we get caught up in ourselves, we get caught up in our egos, we get caught up in our ambitions. And I think that's also human too. That's part of the human experience. So.
Yeah, and I believe a lot of times we don't even realize it. And one of the things you talked about in one of your talks that I watched was self-awareness and knowing yourself. How do you become more self-aware? How can our listeners become more self-aware? What suggestions do you have?
Well, I'll give you the first one is go to perfectsoccerskills.com/SSS, and you can watch the 3 S's of self-awareness talk that you're referencing right now, which really breaks down the process of becoming self-aware if you're not self-aware already, or practicing your self-awareness, because that can be a pretty long conversation. But I think some main takeaways is being being mindful that it is a choice. You're choosing to be self-aware, you're choosing to be oblivious. And most people say ignorance is bliss. Yeah, ignorance may be bliss. Aware of that, it can become overwhelming. It can also become daunting, and a reason why most people choose not to focus on those things, why they may choose not to invest in themselves. But I think, and the generations that are going to come after us.
I lost you a little bit, and you said you can choose not to invest yourselves, and then what happened?
Oh, yeah. So basically, you're investing whether you believe it, whether you think you are or aren't, right? It's just becoming aware of how you're investing. And what you're investing is your time. And you're investing your time in distractions and things that are not making you a more productive human being, or you're investing in things that are. There's really you have no choice in that other than choosing, other than your focus. And I think the biggest thing that I've learned is acceptance is the key. Acceptance of your situation, your circumstances, your current limitations, the access that you have available to you right now, but it does not define what you're capable of becoming. It doesn't mean that you can't be more. It doesn't mean that you can't become less. It doesn't mean anything more than what you choose it to mean for you. And I suggest, or my recommendation, especially when I talk with players and people, is choose something that is meaningful to you, that means something to you. Draw from it what you want. Because at the end of the day, it's your time, it's your life, right? And we don't know how much of it that we have. And I think the thing that I choose to avoid is regret, right? Regretting the choices that I make. I look at it like I made the choice for a reason. I may not have had all the information. I might not have had it all figured out. I might not have done it perfectly, but I know that I was thoughtful in the decision that I made. I took the time to do the research and educate myself, and then from there, it's a letting go. Also understanding that you're not in control of everything as well too, right? It's Tai Chi. I talk about that with Earl, right? It's ebbs and flows, energy, and whether you're religious or spiritual or not or anything, at the end of the day, we're all connected. It's an energy. There is energy, and we're talking about where we're focusing our energy.
Yeah. Yeah. I guess accepting of realizing that you do have a choice to grow or not to grow, and if you're not growing, then by default, if you're not growing, then by default, it means you're going the other way.
But this is good. But regardless, you're growing. You're always growing.
Oh, that's deep. Because you're learning.
No matter what, you're growing. It's just which direction you want to grow in. And either people are going to decide the direction you grow in for you, or you'll decide for yourself. But you can't avoid the process. It's happening.
Yeah. Good point. Let's pivot a little bit into some of the skills that made you a better player than most. I know mindset's very important to you, giving it your all, making sure that there was no regret at the end of the 90 minutes, that you you had left it all on the field. Um, what would you do? What lessons did you learn along the way to help build your confidence on the field?
Uh, the lessons I learned to build confidence is to be prepared. And preparation means preparation for anything and everything you can think of, especially the things you can't. All right. So it's more so acknowledging that there are limitations to yourself, and recognizing when your ego is the reason why you're not moving forward or progressing. And that can become very difficult. It is very difficult to navigate and to learn. And that comes with making mistakes. And preparation for me is maximizing the mistakes you've made before the time has come to execute.
Elaborate.
So okay. Fun fact, something that you didn't mention in the thing. I also had a stint with New York Red Bulls, right?
Oh.
So I was signed with them for officially, I think, for 2 weeks before I traded to Toronto. And that's a whole nother story. But while I was there, it was with Henri and Juninho, right? And Juninho is a free kick specialist, right? Man could hit the ball in such a manner that it would be up and over the wall, and there's nothing the keeper could do. Is 9 out of 10 shots in training would go in, right? Now, anyone is capable of doing that, but not everyone is capable of doing it. And let's say in order to get to that level of proficiency, you have to kick the ball 10 million times. And that's it. You just kick it 10 million times. Most people, if they start, might get to 50,000, and then quit and be done and say, oh, it's impossible. No one can do it, whatever. But there's one girl in 10 million that will kick the ball 10 million times and get to that level of proficiency, right? Which means they probably messed up 9,990,000 times before he then became a master at that particular skill set. So for me, in order to be prepared for when your opportunity comes to, let's say, be on the field and score that goal, if I said, well, if you kick the ball 9,990,000 times before you stepped on the field, you're guaranteed to score that goal. Most people aren't committed to doing that. But if I'm saying, if someone could tell me that that would guarantee that I'll score the goal and win, then I guess the decision has already been made for me. And I'm either about that action and I'm going to do the work, or I'm not. And if I'm not going to do the work, then I'm being self-aware and honest. That's not me. That's not what I'm willing to do. And I am either going to do something else, or I'm going to spend my time focused on figuring out a different way of accomplishing the same goal. But at the end of the day, I'm taking responsibility for my role in my process, and I'm taking responsibility for if it works, and most importantly, which is what most people miss out on, when it doesn't work. And that's what I think most people are missing. Good.
If you just quit, or if you change your strategy a little bit, basically.
Yeah, but if you change your strategy, that's okay, right? It's okay to change your strategy. Okay, so for instance, let's use that as a specific example. We talked about things you think about and don't think about. What I'll do when I'm starting out in something new, I don't know if I have to kick the ball 10 million times to be able to do what Juninho does. I'll just decide that I think if I do 10 million, I put myself in a great opportunity to be able to do it, right? So at least when we can get there and go like, yeah, 10 million times, if after 10 million shots I can't do that, then I need to quit and do something else, right? So right now and right there, I can already plan. I could break that down. How many shots do I need to take per day to get to 10 million? And I could make that plan take me 100 years, which means I'll get there. I could also make that plan one day, which means my leg might fall off, right? Before I get there. So then now we've got at least context and a frame to come up with a plan. And then from there, we can now decide, all right, if I kick the ball 10,000 times every day over the course of this long, I'll get to 10 million, right? But while you're doing that every single day, you're also gaining experience. 6 months in, you have tens of thousands more reps kicking the ball than you did at day one. So by month 6, you'll be able to know what you didn't know when you started, and you can self-reflect, and you can go, actually, now that I realize it and what I'm learning and watching films of other people who are free kick specialists and spending a little bit of extra time focused on my nutrition and stuff on the side and this and that and the other, I don't need to get to 10 million. I need to get to 5 million. And I don't need to get to 5 million kicking it just this way. I need to get to 5 million kicking it these 5 different ways. So a million this way, a million that way, a million this way, a million that way, right? So now you're starting to refine it down. But to get started, you have to be committed and willing to do something that nobody else is willing to do. A great place to start is talking to everybody you know, and when they say that's impossible, that would never work, that's where you're starting. If you're wanting full clarity, right? Like, and then being committed to working to get to 10 million, knowing that you'll get there eventually. And when you do, you'll either look back and go like, ah, man, it really should have been 20 million, or it should have been, I should have done 10 million free kicks. I should have done 10 million juggles of the ball. But at least at that point, you have that knowledge and that understanding, and then you can decide to go down the path again and learn and to grow. So that's why I say opportunity. There's always an opportunity. It's deciding what opportunities you can see now and which ones you're committed to seeing through to the end. And that all comes down to mindset, and you got to seize your mind, bro.
Yeah. Yeah. And I guess basically you have to realize when you're failing over and over and over, you have to know that there's good coming out of it, even though in the moment it feels like crap.
Yes. But it only will come if you stay committed to it long enough. And it might not ever come. And you have to be okay with that too, which ties back to acceptance. And which is why you see the P in Perfect Soccer stands for passion. I define life as work because most of your life is work. And I want my work to be my passion. And passion to me is what I would be doing, whether or not I was paid to do it. If I'm spending most of my life on my work and my work is my passion and it's things that I'm doing and I'm enjoying and I want to be a part of whether or not I'm getting paid, if I get to 30, if I get to 40, if I get to 50 and I didn't become the world's, the best teammate of all time, right? I at least spent my time doing something I was passionate about and I wanted to be a part of and participating in. Right, so then it's a win-win. At the end, how can I lose? And that's a big reason why I say, hey, MSL, Mental Strength League, you can't stop us. Like, we're focused on things we're passionate about, and we're doing it whether you pay us or not. So there's nothing that you're holding over our head that can prevent us from continuing to do the work that we're doing, which gives us a massive advantage over our competition. And most people say, your haters, your competition. Yeah, okay, your haters are also energy, and they're designating their energy to you. You should be grateful for your haters. You should be thankful to them because they also have they also are limited in what they have like you, time. And they're using their time and their attention and they're dedicating it and investing it in you. So why not? So they're dedicated and investing it in you. Time that they'll never get back. So why wouldn't you be grateful and thankful of that?
When they could be perfecting their craft and getting better than you, but instead they're
perfecting the craft of investing in you. So those are all mentality shifts, right?
Man, I was about to say, like, that's a great example of just perspective. Like seeing something that most people would think is negative, but putting a different set of lenses on and seeing the positive of it. Like, you do that with everything in your life, like, you'll be unstoppable.
Yeah, 100%. That's why I'm going, hey, these are lessons and things that I learned through my experience. So I I I feel it's the most valuable experiences that I could share. So why wouldn't I? You know, like, we live in a time where, like, I just don't think we can even conceptualize how uniquely blessed we are to be in this moment in time. Though can see how it's a very difficult time for a lot of people, like myself included. It's a very difficult time, right? But I think the opportunity that sits in front of us and the greatness that we as humanity can tap into is also unprecedented, right? Like, me and you are talking on me and you are talking through a platform in real time, sharing life lessons and experiences that took that took some people a lifetime to accumulate, and it may have spent millions upon millions of dollars to acquire and to yeah, and we just have access to it, just just at an instant. And setting context to what we were talking about earlier in terms of, like, some humans' existence of half their day in time is invested in finding clean water. In 1 hour of time, we could have access to amounts of experience and knowledge that some people invested 10, 20, 30 years of their life in pursuing and doing. And there you go, got it, bang. So it can become very easy for us to lose sight of how valuable this is, how grateful we should be, even considering and understanding the difficulties that plague many individuals and everybody at different points in time in the process. Because I look at it like a process. So
I guess a great example with that would be, let's say you have a painting on your wall. When you first get that painting, you're in awe, you cherish it, you value it. 6 years later, you don't even see it when you come in the room anymore. But it's still a Picasso.
Yeah, no, it's true. So I think it's very difficult for individuals who might not have gotten to high levels of careers or professions to think, like, no, that would never be me. I'd get there, and it's easy for you to say you got all this money and you do this and you have that and you have this and you have that. And it's going, like, I can understand why people may believe that and think that. But if we just look at our level and where we are right now, if you are someone who can take for granted the things that are around you right now, there are people in this world who have a fraction of what you have, regardless of where you are. If you are able to listen to this conversation right now over the internet, that means you have access to the internet. That means you have access to a phone. It doesn't matter if it's not the new. Either the support system, the mental framework, the capacity, the ability to receive this message and understand it and potentially apply it in your world, in your local market, in your environment. That alone puts you at a huge advantage to a large percentage of the populations of humans on this earth. So,
and in humans, like, compared to 100 years ago too, like.
And there you go. And that's where I'm saying, like, the point in time that we're existing right now, I know we can look at it and say, like, this is very scary, this is difficult, this is horrible. Sorry, a call came through. I know we can look at it, this is very scary, this is difficult, this is horrible. We can look at all of those things. And like I said, what you focus on is a choice. I'm saying, if we focus on the history of humanity, compared to the history of humanity, the information and the opportunities we have access to right here in the fact that we're listening to each other talking on this phone right now is greater than 99.9% of all of human history, regardless of where you're starting at here right now today. That's a fact. That's true. You might not like that. You might not like the sound of that. You might not want to agree with it, but it's true. It's a true statement. And the more we can accept that, the better chance we actually have to improve the situation in front of us right now. And that's what I try my best to convey in as few of words as possible without going on too long of rants or tangents and stuff. But that's also been my process of learning how to refine these ideas, these concepts, these experiences that have, I've learned over the course of, an 11 plus year professional soccer career, as well as, just life experiences off the field as well too.
Yeah, for our listeners to be able to get some of the knowledge from those 11 years condensed into 1 hour that would take people 11 years to figure out on their own, like that in itself is amazing. And one of the other things you talk about is accepting responsibility of your, whether you choose to see the good or whether you choose to not give up after many, many rejections, or whether you choose to learn to go and realize you do have a cell phone. There's information at your fingertips. You can get better at things. You can learn things, but you have to be responsible for it.
Yes. And I think most people are scared of responsibility because they're scared of what happens if it doesn't work out. What are people going to say about me? What are they going to think? What most people aren't thinking about you. And that's what you got to understand. Most people aren't thinking about you, they're thinking about themselves. And the amount of, I think, wasted human potential in thinking about what other people think about them is massive. And if we can just get now I talk about put my VC hat on, right? If we can get just a 5% market share of all the self-doubt and negative talk of humanity and invest that in investing in personal responsibility, imagine what the world could become 5 years, 10 years from now, 20 years from now.
And you spoke earlier about the ego, and I can see how, like, the fear of being a failure when you fail at something, and that's where the wrong thinking. You are a failure because you failed at something. You failed at something. Don't make it part of your ego.
Yeah, you're a failure. We're all failures. We're the results of the failures of those who came before us. That's what we.
I lost you there for a second. We're the results of.
Oh, that's okay. Can you hear me?
All right, I think you're back now.
Yep.
You're saying we're the results of all the failures of the past humanity?
Yeah, we're the results of all the failures of past humanity, right? You're the results of all the failures you've ever made in life. That's what you are. Your successes success is what you decide is successful for yourself as a result of making mistakes. And making mistakes is failure. So failure is required for success. So if you want to be a success, you have to be a failure. If you want to be happy, you have to be okay and find a way to see the positives in failure. If not, you're going to feel like a failure all the time. And that's what people want to avoid feeling. So it comes back again to acceptance. Accept that you're a failure and that is okay. And you're setting out to fail more, because failing more means you're making progress. And making progress means you're moving forward away from your past failure. And now you can hopefully use self-awareness to self-reflect, look at your past failures, and come up with a plan to move forward more productive than you were when you first started. But if you accept who you are, what you stand for, and choose what you focus on, and you choose to focus on things you're passionate about, again, it's a win-win, because you're either going to be 10 years older 10 years from now, or you're going to be dead. So making it simple, keeping it simple. And keeping it simple is the best way to set yourself up for success. And I think many corporations, branding, marketing, sales has done a great job in making things seem like they're a lot more complicated than they need to be to justify their existence and to justify why you should pay them more money versus someone else and all that kind of stuff, right? Like that's a whole nother conversation, another side, right? That I'm sure we could get into. But the main thing is saying, okay, those systems and mechanisms exist, and we have to participate in them, or at least they're influential in our process or life. So some people say, I opt out and I don't participate. Okay, you don't have to participate, but it is influential in some capacity in your life. So those are truths. And I think if and when we understand the influence that we possess within ourselves in terms of our just willingness to make decisions and take responsibility for the decisions that we make, I think our potential is limitless.
And so how do you get over that fear of making mistakes? But then also, it's like, because a lot of people they end up doing nothing, but they don't realize that doing nothing is still doing something.
Yes. Okay, so the way you get over it is you force yourself to do it, or you choose to do it. So at least maybe do a small version of it at the very least. I think I did an episode, I forget I think it was episode like 81 or 82 of the Ask a Soccer Pro show. So I go live every Thursday talking about mentality, MSL, and breaking it down on the Perfect Soccer Instagram account. And the title of that episode is, What If I Pee Myself While I'm on the Field? Right. And a kid called in and said, I have anxiety and a fear that I'm going to pee on myself on the field. And it's affecting my game, and I can't focus, and I can't this, and I can't that. And I really like that question, because I said, well, I'll tell you what I would do if I were you, right? So if it's just me. And one is I would just go out there and I'd pee on myself. I'd just go and pee on myself in the field and just get it over with. And I'm sure that I told him, I said, and then what? Because let's think about it. Negative visualization. What's the worst that's going to happen? Oh, they're going to call me pee-pee boy. There's Quincy, pee-pee boy. He peed on himself. The girls and everyone's going to snicker and point at me and laugh and say that I pee on myself and that I smell, and some other people and all that. Yeah, okay, so that's the worst that could happen. Or then maybe they kick me out of the school because I peed on myself, right? So I'm saying, like, project it to the most negative. Am I going to die? No. So I'm just going to go pee on myself, and then the next day I'm going to show up with a t-shirt on that says pee-pee boy, and I brand myself as pee-pee boy. And everyone will know I'm pee-pee boy, which means everybody knows me. So if everyone's pointing and laughing, they're directing their energy and focus into me, and they're building on my brand. And everybody knows pee-pee boy. What's pee-pee boy known for? Oh, that's the kid, he peed all over himself on the soccer field. And be like, yeah, he did, but he's actually pretty good at soccer. Or actually, he's terrible at soccer. Yeah, he is, but he keeps trying. Let's go watch him, because it's fun to watch him just fail. What I tell you, you fail enough times, you're going to become successful. If you get good at being pee-pee boy and everyone pointing and laughing at you, maybe you're a good comedian. Pee-pee boy is your comedian name, and you use that to build a connection with the local artist. And then you can tell the story about how, yeah, you just went out there and peed on myself. What are you going to do? That's funny. People laugh. There's value in that. There's value in making people laugh. And there's more value in it, in learning how to be okay with people laughing at you. And that's a mentality. And that's the way in which I look at most people call them problems. I call them temporary obstacles. That's how I look at temporary obstacles and figure out a way how to navigate around it. And you can make your weaknesses your strength, but you have to be committed to that, and you have to understand it. It's going to take time and discipline, right? And those are the 3 S's of self-aware: self-honesty, honest with yourself; self-initiative, take action; self-accountability, discipline. You practice those 3 things over a long enough period of time, you'll make enough mistakes to self-reflect, see what went wrong and how to do better the next time, and you'll start to elevate yourself, become more productive over time, and realize that a lot of the things that may have held you back or you were anxious or scared of or worried about were just the boogeyman, right? It was yourself. It was an idea you made for yourself to limit yourself unknowingly. Self-sabotage.
Fantasy.
Yep. I mean, think about it. Think of the world that surrounds us today, just today. This started in the mind of someone at some time in the past.
Everything started from an idea.
Correct. And an ability to gather people around an idea and be committed and dedicated to seeing that idea to its fruition. But it only came because people were committed and dedicated to it for long enough. And when you can't fully see the whole process it takes to get from idea to final product, and you're just experiencing final product, that's where you can lose sight as to what's actually necessary to create it, sustain it, maintain it, let alone properly value what it is that you're participating in.
Yeah, I mean, how many times do you look at a light bulb and think of I don't remember what the number is, some huge number of filaments that Thomas Edison failed at before he finally got the right one. We just think of the one that worked.
Yep. You just go, oh yeah, it's a light bulb. Everyone goes that. Everyone understands that. And you're like, no, this dude was probably called crazy and idiot and stupid for decade. I don't know how long.
He's a pee-pee boy of his generation.
Yeah, the pee-pee boy. Yeah, sorry, another call came through. Yes, he's the pee-pee boy of his generation. 100%. And now we talk about him like a genius. Amazing. His story lives on. I'm pretty sure while he was going through it, this was not the praise and the way that people were speaking about him. And I'm pretty certain, especially with my experiences and the conversations and things I've heard over the course of my career, that is the experience of most people who are setting out to do something that people have never seen or experienced before. Yeah.
But, Edison's legacy shines brightly, and so will those who don't give up.
Yes, sir.
Quincy, thank you so much for being on the show. This has been so much fun for me. Really enjoyed getting to dive a little bit into your mind and see what makes you tick.
Thanks, brother. I appreciate you reaching out and having me. Yeah, man. I'm sure I'd love to do it again. So let me know what episode number you think I'm coming back for.
This one was 31. Let's do 51.
Okay, I like that. I'm back for 51.
All right.
Yeah, no, I appreciate the opportunity, man, and yeah, feel free to reach out. I'm sure we'll be talking here more in the future, and I'm looking forward to seeing the podcast, how it does, man.
Cool. Thank you. I'll be in touch. Have a great day.
Awesome. You too.